That is a great segue into our next segment, which we like to call 8 Bits. Hit the theme. I was just over here doing a little dance because I know you're hearing music back home. So if you've never tuned into 8 Bits before, this is our segment where we ask our lovely guests 7 of the same questions, very inside the actor studio-esque over here, but they are tech related. And then we have an 8th bonus question. So we'll go ahead and get started and we'll get to know the person behind the technology today, which is Jen Looper. So Jen, tell us, what is your earliest memory of tech?
Right. Well, so I grew up in the 70s. I'm ridiculously old. So, but we did have a television until I decided to kick it because I didn't like what was on the television. I busted the picture tube, so no more television for Jen's family.
Do you
So
remember what that show was?
I don't, but to this day, there are some parts of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer when the snowman comes in that I still can't watch because I was so traumatized by that darn show. But maybe it was that. So just go kick it, because what could go wrong? But in terms of computers, I was in a program, one of these programs where they have kids just trying out new stuff, and they gave us, I think it was either a Commodore 64 or a TRS-80. I think it was a TRS-80, one of these real clunky things. Yeah. And we were supposed to be learning how to program BASIC on it using these text-based games. The text-based game I remember was called Raha 2. And it's another kind of wandering through a jungle, Indiana Jones style. I think it's like whack your way through the underbrush and jaguar jumps on you and you die. So like kind of stuff, you know?
And there's sort of like options like A, B, C, D, kind of choose your own adventure, sort of?
Yeah, it was choose your own adventure. And I think with BASIC, you're doing go to and then right, left. It's very, very basic. So it was all, in console and that kind of stuff. So no, I don't think there was a GUI, nothing.
I recently played Oregon Trail, like the old original Oregon Trail for the first time. And I realized now that I, have been a programmer for a couple years, this is just basically a text-based game with some visuals. So, and I feel like a lot of the fun early projects, especially when I was first, learning JavaScript and Python, I just built a lot of text-based games in, the terminal. So that's so cool. I need to get my hands on, I want to play with some of those old Commodores, and even though they're big and clunky, they're kind of fun to play with.
I think there are some websites where people have republished those old text-based games like Oregon Trail or the ones before. I know Raha 2 is online and you can hack your way through it. I have to dig up the link somewhere, but it's boy,
I need to
nostalgia.
poke our mutual friend Stacy Davino because I'm sure that she has a lot of cool retro hardware that I could play with.
Yes.
Have you ever played with an older device like that, Brandon? Like, did you grow up with those as well?
The probably oldest game console I played with was the old school Atari. So like the very first one with the joysticks, and it had it was a wooden console too, or at least had like wood paneling on it.
Oh,
that's
right.
safe.
Or am I just making that up?
It was made of stone.
I think it was more of like an accent piece, but
cool. Well, our next question here is, what is the last piece of tech or hardware that you bought?
Right. So the last piece I think I bought was my Apple Pencil, which I had bought a V2 and then I had to return it because mine doesn't go with my iPad. I had to get the V1. So, but that's a brilliant piece of technology, specifically for iPad and specifically for Procreate, which is just a wonderful app that's worth every bit of its $10. And it'll turn you into an artist, even if you didn't realize you were one. So I just love it.
And you do sketchnoting, correct?
I'm not that great at it. It's all about practice, I guess, but I really do enjoy sketching and drawing. And I'm a visual learner, so taking notes and kind of sketching around that, I think it helps me. I hope it helps other people. But I like to, when I'm going to a conference, I'll sketch note your talk and make a little silly portrait of you and give it as a gift, because it's kind of fun.
Oh, fun.
I love those.
Yes.
I've never been able to do it because, well, maybe I should try it, because I don't consider myself a great artist, but I am always in awe when anybody does one. And it's such a great way to capture the snapshot of, say, a conference presentation or meeting notes, and you can kind of see everything visually, and
Yeah.
it's just beautiful. So I'm always
Yeah.
in awe of people that are able to do that.
Everything I learned from Denise Yu. She created this, she has a course on how to sketch note, but she also released her slides, which are just brilliant. So everything if you want to just learn, and it's a very specific style. So there's like, I do the kind of real cutesy style with cute animals and bunnies. So some people do a completely different style of sketchnoting. Like Nitya's are much more text heavy. Mine just have like rabbits hopping all over it because I just get distracted.
One of my favorite speaker gifts ever, and it was a total surprise to me, was at DevOps Day Dallas. As we were giving our talks, there was someone on the side of the stage with a large piece of butcher paper sketching out our talk as we gave it. So you could either watch, if you're more of a visual learner, you could kind of choose who you were looking at. And I guess my talk was about shifting to the left with testing. And I must have just quoted Beyonce, like to the left, to the left. And I think she drew me like singing To the Left by Beyonce on the thing. And I have this huge scroll. I have a picture of me laying next to it, like next to my art, but it was such I'm a visual learner myself. So anytime that I see a sketch note, or maybe I wasn't able to catch a talk and someone on Twitter posts one, I'm like, oh, this is such a cool way to learn.
It is. It's so fun. It's a good
and
thing
I'm also a huge fan of some of your more artsy visual projects, like your CSS terrarium that you did for Build.
Yeah. So, we were working the student zone in Build. Microsoft Build was a big, huge conference, and the student zone was like, it was just party.
It's where all the fun happens.
It was where I was not going to say that, but let's just say fun happens, because we were popping. It was Minecraft and IoT.
NASA, robots.
NASA was there. Yeah, crazy Aunt Lindsay was there.
We had Microsoft the musical. All the interns from that came and talked to us.
Incredible.
Always come to the student zone.
Always go to the student zone, and it doesn't matter how old you are. Everybody's learning. So I had 800 people listening to me we were all coding together. It was fabulous. We just forked a repo and just started coding. So first you create a terrarium in CSS, and you put the dirt down, and then you have your little items laid out, your little succulents laid out on the side, and then you make add a mouse on mouse over click handler so that you can drag and drop them into your terrarium. And it's a beautiful experience, and everybody was happy.
I'm really excited to go and do that one because I'm a very crafty person, and I've found that CSS and front end in general very much feels like virtual digital crafting. And I love real life terrariums, if you couldn't tell from all the succulents I have over here. Cool. All right. Next question we have is, what technology do you love?
What technology do I love? I love, like I said, Procreate. What other technologies? VS Code has been very helpful recently.
Amen. I love all the plugins with VS Code, that help me do stuff.
Kind of your one-stop shop, honestly. And GitHub is getting really, really great. There's a lot of new little things in GitHub that you can do. Actually, a great technology is the GitHub mobile app. Shockingly, it's shockingly good. Brandon, have you tried this one with the iOS app?
I do. I have it.
It's so good.
I've made a mobile app myself that
the unofficial
leverages
app of the show.
That's right. Okay. There's a connection. That's right.
We always sneak in a plug on this show for Brandon's app.
That's right. Okay.
Download it today.
Gettrends.com. Ping.
Yeah, but if you're in the car and you pull over and you have to ship some code, you can actually do it. You can review PRs from your iPhone. It's shocking.
Yeah,
it's really cool. Yeah, and I mean, there's some things that I'm looking forward to them adding, like when you release or make a release on GitHub. Right now, if you click on a release in the mobile app, it'll redirect you to the website to see the release notes and all that fun stuff. But I really appreciate that, especially for doing code reviews, like what you're saying with PRs, or if somebody opens an issue on one of my GitHub repos, now I get a push notification about it. I don't have to go back and manually check. Like I used to just kind of stumble upon them in the past, like, oh, this has been open for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I never heard about it. Guess I'll respond. But yeah, now it's a push notification. I don't really have that excuse anymore.
Instead of TikTok,
is a good thing.
Brandon's just on GitHub, like, you know, or Instagram, scrolling through all of his pull requests.
No, for sure.
So that is, we just covered what technology do you love. What technology do you hate? We've had a wide range of answers to this one, from scooters to everything you can think of.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I am not in love with the GPS in my Prius. It's a relatively new model Prius. And I'm sorry, but Garmin, can we talk? Can we talk about the GUI?
Reach out to Jen for a case study.
Oh my goodness, it's just not easy. You have to like search you have to start by drilling into the app to get the address that you want to go to. So you have to say, I want to go to Boston. Well, I want to go to State Street. Well, I want to go to number 4.
I want to be on the planet Earth and in the United States of America.
Like, more specific.
Oh man. And then I was renting a car in Austin last time I was there, and it had an Apple Car and everything was perfect. And it was just made me sad. And it's not available in my 2018 Prius.
GPS has saved my booty so many times, especially moving to a new city right after college. Back in the day, y'all, the BlackBerry capabilities of pinpointing, you had to put the cross streets that you were at. It wouldn't just say, you are here, now where do you want to go? And I don't think I would have survived moving to San Francisco without a mobile phone, but oh my goodness, having to type in the long address at a street corner that you don't know where you are, or if it's safe to have your phone out.
An actual map.
Yeah, big map with string. And yeah, I sometimes in my own neighborhood, I can't even get around with GPS. So what a great invention in general.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just listening to a story. I think I was listening to a podcast the other day where somebody was sharing a story where when they were young, they were walking home from school and didn't realize they made a wrong turn and just were totally lost and turned around. And I had totally forgotten about that experience in general, because when that happens today, I'm like, oh, where am I? And I just kind of pull up the phone. It's like, oh, okay, I'm one street over. Let's go that way. But yeah, back in the day, I was trying to think, what would I do? I think I used to just retrace my steps. So like go back until things started looking familiar again, and then continuing on. And yeah, if you didn't have a map with you, and obviously there was no GPS back in the day, it was very difficult. And yeah, that's when you would have to go, like, just ask somebody, like maybe pop into the corner store and be like, hey, I'm trying to get here. Have you heard of this place?
Talking
these
to
cross
people?
streets?
No.
Until you don't know the language, you know? So.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes.
We're so lucky. I think we take it for granted sometimes, because just yesterday I parked our car somewhere, and as I was walking away from the car, I thought, oh, I should write down where I parked. But then I realized that I could just look at my history later to see, you know, where I'd parked my car. And I was like, oh, it takes care of itself in the background. I don't know if that's creepy or good or bad, but saved me some time.
It does. Yeah.
It's like, at the cost of having more of our information on the internet, saves us some time, but also, does my phone need to know where I am all the time? Probably not. Data. So our next question is, what other profession would you want to attempt?
To attempt. So I used to be a teacher, and I was trained up to be a French teacher, which is all great until it's really hard to find a job with my specialty. But in terms of attempting a job, I wouldn't mind attempting, because I didn't try it, to get certified and teach high school.
Okay.
And I think that, I don't know, everyone tells me this is a dreadful idea. My kids are like, oh, I don't want to do that. The children are terrible. And I was like, I don't know. You know? It's tricky, because with teaching a foreign language, it's tricky if the students are not super motivated, if they're not super interested in the topic. And in middle school and high school, they're kind of just getting through the requirements. Same thing a little bit in college, but there's a little bit more motivation. If there's a language requirement in your college, then they really just want to get it done and get going. But I think it would be a challenge to motivate students to want to learn a language, to enjoy learning it, and see how far you could push that. I don't know. I always love to learn languages, so I wonder how far one's innate enthusiasm and love for a thing can drag the classroom with you. So it'd be worth a try. I don't know.
Well, I would much rather learn French from you than Duolingo, because that owl can be very threatening in that app sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I used to teach grammar points by there's a pedagogy called total physical response, and it's all about getting past your fears and just physically getting involved in the language learning. So I had a little stuffed puppy dog, and we would do verb grammar, different grammar points. I would just toss you the dog, and if you caught it, you had to give me the right answer. So it's very much on the spur, on the spot, physically getting into learning the grammar point. So I don't know how terrifying that is, but Chloe's like, oh my god.
I was just thinking, you just duck out of the way.
Less scary than being in a situation where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm face to face with someone and I need to communicate this. Like I would rather do it with a stuffed dog than have to do it in the moment.
His name is Bosco. He's pretty cute, but yeah, but the students are like.
Brandon, do you know any other languages?
So we'll say no. I took 2 languages in high school. I took Latin and Japanese. And what's ironic is I learned more about English through Latin than I did through my English classes, which don't tell anybody that. My mom's actually an English teacher, so she doesn't love it when I tell people that I learned it more through Latin. But I think the coolest thing for me is, well, I mean, that's really cool. Definitely help with my SAT scores. But with Japanese, they have 3 different alphabets. And one of them is called katakana. And it's only used, well, the intent of that alphabet is for foreign language words that have been introduced to Japanese. So words like hamburger, computer, in Japanese, they're pronounced pretty much the same, like kanputa and hamburger, but they still use a different alphabet to spell it out. And last time I was in Japan, if a menu or a sign was written in katakana, then I could just kind of sound it out. And you kind of use some context clues. So like I was in a coffee shop and was reading through the menu and was able to sound out like mocha and latte. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do this. And so it's kind of cheating because it's still the same word, but just written in a different alphabet. But that's probably the extent of my prowess in foreign languages.
Well, when I get further along in my Duolingo course, I'm going to have to hit up Jen, ask her some pointers on my French, because I've decided next time I go to France, last time I was in France, I walked around with 2 baguettes in my pockets because when in France, I want to be able to order a baguette using French. So that's my goal for next time I can travel. I think I've got some time. I could probably figure it out before then. All right. So our next question, yeah, picture me with just carbs in my pockets, is what profession would you not want to attempt, Jen?
Well, I have a dreadful fear of heights, so I wouldn't be like a professional skydiver or anything like that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, window washing on the tall building, no. But I thought at one point I wanted to become a doctor or go into healthcare, health services, and I just realized that I'm completely unfit. I'm just not cut out for this very honorable profession. In fact, I gave my Grey's Anatomy book to a gal who was going into the profession, and I'm like, here, you may have this, because neither I nor my children are doing this, so take it.
Is that basically the equivalent of cracking the coding interview, but for the medical industry?
I don't know. It's such a classic. It's got these beautifully detailed diagrams of all of the body parts. And
today I learned, I only knew it was a show.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Classic. Yeah, it's a classic. But yeah, I don't do late nights, and I don't like blood and gore. So not
Brandon had the
forget.
same answer. He's not a blood person, so he would not fare well in that
Nope.
profession.
My body passes out as soon as I see needles, blood, just
Needles, yeah.
not only would I be bad at it, I would be unconscious.
Unfortunately, I got to attempt one of the professions I would not want to pursue again, which is children's birthday party entertainer. You'd be
Ooh.
surprised how many weird bodily fluids you get on yourself doing that. So
Ooh, yeah.
you may have seen me if you live in the Bay Area. I may have been a Minnie Mouse at your child's birthday.
Wow.
All righty. Well, let's see. Our next question here is, what technology do you wish existed from film or TV?
Anything having to do with travel. I think this is kind of like where a lot of DevRel people are at this point. Like, I don't want to get out of here. I'm sitting in my closet at this point.
It's a cute closet, though. I got to say, I don't have any
closet.
on light in my closet, so you're doing great.
Good. Yeah, it's if we had, just had the button to beam me up, or the Flu network that we could just hop in, and just like visit people. Material. What did Calvin and Hobbes? He had the transmogrifier. Well, that was to change you, but I think he had another kind of box that you could get into and it would transport you somewhere. I'm all about that. We got to get out of here, man. I'm done.
I want the I Dream of Genie capabilities, where I can just go like this and
I
go
can't wiggle
somewhere.
my nose.
Yeah, the Bewitched one. Yeah, I also really love just the idea of, even if I was just able, almost like in the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the Mike TV, like digitally transfer the candy or the person into a different place, that would be great.
Because that's what's so tough during the current pandemic is travel. So you get on a plane, you're immediately surrounded by dozens, if not hundreds of people. And if any of them are sick, well, you're probably going to get sick too, or just going through the airport and being around all the people. And, there might be, your destination might be totally safe, this nice cabin in the woods where you can get away from it all. But yeah, to get there,
You gotta get there, yeah.
you got to get on a plane, or even if you're driving and maybe it's a couple days road trip, and yeah, every gas station you stop at along the way, it's all, more chances of spreading or contracting the virus. And yeah, it'd be beautiful if I could just jump in that box from Calvin and Hobbes, and all of a sudden I'm in the cabin in the woods. I'm like, great.
I'm starting to see a common theme with people answering this question on the show, because we get a lot of flying cars, beam me up, kind of traveling. I think this is an industry, for those of you watching out there thinking, what should my startup be? Consider traveling through the void of technology or black hole travel. We will give you funding.
Absolutely. You will get funding for sure.
Yeah, you could. Just from the DevRel industry alone, we're here for it. So our final bonus question, our ad hoc question here, I thought we'd get a little bit on the theme of Maya Mystery and Azure Mystery. And I want to ask you, Jen, what's one of your favorite mysteries? Are you a Nancy Drew person? Are you like a Murder on the Orient Express type of human? Do you have a favorite mystery?
Well, this will make you laugh. I used to read the Bobbsey twins when I was a kid, which is really old.
I've heard of this. It's like Hardy Boys-ish
it's before
era.
that stuff, yeah. I actually really like kind of more physical mysteries. So I used to be big into geocaching. Like you can wander around,
cool.
find little boxes. COVID, I'm telling you, no more boxes in the woods. Or like, finding little mysterious things like running around catching Pokemon, that's a little bit less charming. But there are little surprises and mysteries there. So little problems that you can solve, but in a physical context. Some of the museums that I'm working with have interesting experiences that they're building to kind of mystify folks. I was just talking to folks from the Cooper Hewitt, and they had a physical pen, which is an IoT device. You go up and you tap on a tag, and you get information.
Whoa!
Like interesting, like scavenger hunty type things. That's kind of more my bag, I think.
Well, this has been such a fun episode, Jen. And as always, wonderful to catch up with you as well, Brandon.
Hey.
Bye.
Bye.